You want me to put that on my Tudor?
Jada Pinkett Smith. It's the white supremacists. When you're dealing with a narcissist, many things occur, but one, which will always be found, is that it's never the fault of the narcissist. This is because an admission of fault, a genuine one, is giving up control. It is saying to somebody else, I am in the wrong. You're right. That transfers power and control to another person. For the narcissist to admit that they were wrong and for it to be a genuine admission is complete anathema to why they exist. The narcissist, created in the cauldron of a genetic predisposition towards narcissism allied with a lack of control environment, becomes hypersensitive to threats to control. This means, therefore, that the narcissism, like a vigilant guard dog, must always watch out for perceived threats to control. In your world, you don't see them as threats, but in the narcissist world, we do. And, as part of maintaining that control, the narcissist must assert control over other people and ensure that potential threats to control are also nullified. What this means is that the narcissist will repeatedly and regularly blame shift. Sometimes the narcissist will blame shift by saying the business failed because market conditions were not right, or that we didn't get the level of funding that we deserved, or that the advertising campaign that was run wasn't as effective as it should have been. Nothing to do with the decision-making of that narcissist as CEO of the business. No, other things made it fail. The relationship didn't fail because the narcissist was regularly being unpleasant to you, cheating on you, calling you bad names. The relationship failed because you didn't love the narcissist as much as you ought to have done. You didn't attend to the narcissist's needs as much as you ought to have done. And 100 other different kinds of excuses whereby you are labelled as the problem. The narcissist routinely blame shifts because that is a way of asserting control over you and nullifying any threat posed by their own shortcomings. The narcissist will routinely blame something or someone in order to nullify that threat to control, to avoid any sense of accountability. And Jada Pinkett Smith has given us an excellent example of that blame shifting, that failure to take accountability, and the necessity of nullifying the threat to control. I've explained to you in a detailed series arising out of the infamous Will Smith slap of last year why Jada Pinkett Smith is a narcissist and Will Smith is her victim. And in The People's Voice, an article by Sean Adel Tabatabai states, Jada Pinkett Smith says white supremacy responsible for Cleopatra's terrible audience score. Nothing to do with that it might have been shittily acted, nothing to do with the fact that the story might not have been particularly interesting, and nothing to do, of course, with the fact that they attempted to rewrite history by suggesting that Cleopatra was black rather than being Macedonian or Macedonian Greek. The article explains Jada Pinkett Smith says she blames white supremacists for the flop of her new Netflix docudrama series, Queen Cleopatra, which has one of the worst audience ratings in US television history. I suspect what she's trying to suggest, and we'll see as we go more into the article, that there's been some kind of orchestrated attempt by white supremacists to give it a shitty rating because they didn't like the fact that Cleopatra was portrayed as black. I should imagine white supremacists are not really watching too much of historical things such as Cleopatra and would be more likely engaging in more direct action, harassing people that they don't agree with. Of course, it's an easy and lazy thing for Jada Pinkett Smith to say by suggesting that, oh, it flopped. It was the white supremacists. I suppose that when she turns up late for something, the white supremacists stopped me getting here, or the fact that she burned the cake was because the white supremacists turned the oven up while she wasn't looking. The fact that she happened to shag the best friend of her son was the white supremacists made me do it. The fact that she humiliated Will Smith at a Red Table Talk was as a consequence of the white supremacists probably training a gun on her with placards with the questions that she was to ask him. The show has an abysmal 1% approval score. It also caused a huge backlash in Egypt by inaccurately portraying Cleopatra as a black woman. As part of Jada's woke crusade, she forced the show's producers to change the race of Cleopatra to match her own. Cleopatra was Greek, which means she was fair-skinned, not black, former Egyptian Minister of Antiquities Zahi Hawass pointed out. SlayNews.com reports, according to the LA Times, Cleopatra was born in the Egyptian port city of Alexandria in 69 BC and succeeded her father in 51 BC to rule until her death in 30 BC amid the expansion of the Roman Empire. Egyptologists have confirmed that she was Macedonian Greek on the side of her father, Ptolemy XII, but her maternal heritage is less clear. Little is known about her birth mother's ethnic origin. Historians have said it's possible that she or any other female ancestor was an indigenous Egyptian or from elsewhere in Africa. Egyptian lawyer Mahmoud al-Samari filed a complaint with Egypt's public prosecutor to request that Netflix be blocked in the North African nation due to the promotion of Afrocentric thinking, including slogans and writings aimed at distorting and erasing the Egyptian identity. Hollywood doesn't care about historical accuracy as long as the show is a hit among woke audiences. However, Smith's new show is a dud. One reviewer said, "It's hard to take this documentary seriously when there are errors in just about every scene. Ancient Egypt, it existed for 3.5 millennia, and the Ptolemaic period of Greek control and its involvement in Roman policies, especially the Roman civil wars, is a very specific period. But getting costumes wrong, getting basic timelines of battles like Actium wrong, placing Cleopatra at events we know she wasn't present at, mixing up things done by Antony with those done by Octavian, and an unending series of errors just makes this impossible to watch. Doesn't seem like it's the white supremacists doing this, does it? It is clear no experts or even anyone with a basic knowledge of the history of the time and place was involved, or if they were, their advice was inverted. The dialogue is also laughably childish, as is the acting." So the article doesn't tell us why she says that white supremacists were responsible for the flop, but it's quite clear that it couldn't have been. There are plenty of other things that were wrong with it, but what she is engaged in is the typical blame-shifting behaviour of a narcissist. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.